He ain't said nothing about no protesting or none of that. All right, there we go. All right. Oh. Neil. All right. Another shot of water. All right. All right. This is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. There's some interesting developments across the sports world. The NBA wrapped up last night the regular campaign up to the All-Star game. So they're going to shut down for about a week to have their little All-Star festivities. This year is going to be in San Francisco. Some people are greatly interested in that, but me, not so much. But I'm going to talk a little bit about NIL and women's sports. But before I get into that, I told you guys yesterday that I had I didn't say it, but I had a allergy problem and it was causing me all kind of issues. Well, I got food allergies and I got regular allergies. And when this time of year, when the pollen is all in the air, I call it trees having sex. And yesterday they were going at it real good. And we got pollen all over the place and it's causing all kind of reactions, especially with me. And you couple that with a little food, the wrong kind of food, and it caused me major problems. Well, I got one remedy. And if you guys aren't familiar with it, these pills right here, you get them through Equate. I get them out of Walmart. These are loratadine 10 milligram allergy pills. And you can only take one a day, but when you take it and you got bad allergies like I do, it'll knock me out for a couple hours. But when I'm awake, then pretty much I'm about whole again. So if you ever get yourself into a allergic situation and you need instant relief, get you some of these loratadine allergy medication pills from Walmart or wherever you can find them, and they'll knock it out pretty good. You'll get you some good sleep, but by the time you wake up, you'll be a whole lot better. I still got a little after effects, but nothing like it was yesterday. All right, Sean's Gaming, how you doing, man? Yeah, I was an athlete. I'm retired now. I'm not getting paid, but I'm long retired from athletics. I just hang around on the fringes now. But let's get into it because I don't have a whole lot of time, and this is a subject that is going to be a little touchy for a lot of people. Right before President Biden left office, he rushed through legislation that this NIL money should be tied to federal aid, or basically classified as federal aid. When you go to college, you get student aid. They're classifying it as the same thing, and because of that, NIL payments should be spread out equally in the same vein as Title IX. In other words, women have to be equally represented in the distribution. Well, the recent administration, the Trump administration, has come back and said that in order for that to happen, it has to have a legal basis. There is no legal ruling that said that the money created by the NIL, revenue generation, has nothing to do with Title IX. And because of that, it has nothing to do with scholarships or financial aid. Therefore, the money doesn't have to necessarily be distributed across male and female sports, which in short means that the football and the basketball programs at these major institutions, they're going to get the lion's share of that $20 million that these schools are going to have to start distributing once this ruling becomes final. And if you don't know what I'm talking about the NCAA versus House ruling that says that these schools have to pay athletes money, pretty much like employees, up to $20 million. Most of that money is going to be spread around in football, and then the rest of it is going to be pretty much going to basketball, which is the next highest generating sport, which leaves a lot of the women's sports out in the cold. Now, does that mean that the women are going to go get nothing? Of course not. It's just that the money from the income that they generate from the games and all of that, that pot of money that they have to distribute, that's going to affect them. But they can still go out and get their own NIL payments. A lot of college athletes, lady college athletes, making millions doing that. So that's not going to affect that. But as far as the school funding giving extra funding to the schools, that's not going to be there. So what they're going to have to do to change that, they're going to have to go to court. Since this administration says that there's no legal binding, well, it's going to take a court ruling to switch that around. And the reason why this could be a big deal is because the final decision on that is supposed to come in April about this House versus committee thing. And then we're going to find out exactly what is what. But as of now, all the schools are planning to pay upwards to $20 million NIL, revenue sharing money out to the athletes. And it has nothing to do with the other money that the athletes can generate on their own. So will it have an effect? Yeah, it's going to affect them some, but individually, a lot of these ladies that are making millions now, they won't be affected at all by that. So some people look at it as women's sports going back 20-something years. In some vein, you are correct. I think that if a school has to pay any money at all to these revenue-generating sports, it should at least be spread around that other sports should get some of that money too. And I think they will, because football has always been the one that paid all the bills for all the other sports. Yes, it's that way in college, and it's definitely that way in high school, especially if you're not at one of these private institutions that get equal fellowship or decent support through all their programs. A lot of schools in high school, they don't get that same support. They might have a good football team, and then in the rest of the sports, they don't have anything. So they don't get, besides the parents or grandparent that might want to come to the game, maybe you make the playoffs and go deep and get a good gate that way. But if you're just an average old team that's not doing a whole lot of winning, you're not making no money. So fundraising is the way that a lot of programs survive. And a lot of coaches, they're not very good at trying to create fundraisers. I'm not the greatest at it myself. I mean, I can do it, but I got so many things going on everywhere else. I don't have time to fully concentrate on those kind of things. So what I do, I try to delegate. I try to find somebody that's on the fringe of the program to help me come up with ideas, and then I try to go from there. But if you depended on me to try to come up with all the ideas to fund the program, then you're going to come up short because I just don't have the time. But at the same time, I don't think that coaches should be the ones that have to come up with the money. I think the schools should be the ones that produce the income and the things that the programs need at their school, because they're representing that school. That should be taken care of by the school, not necessarily by the players and the coaches. But that's just my opinion. But I know funds are tight right now, and things are getting tighter with the rules changes and with the federal money that's being taken out of the schools, or I shouldn't say federal money, but the money that normally go to public schools, a lot of it is being siphoned off to private schools, and that is hurting the public schools even more. So think of that as you will, but this is what's going on. All right, young goat, what's going on, man? The anime kid or anime. I hope I'm saying that right. How you doing? MA Towns, most schools have a booster club. Yeah, they do. But like I said, if you got a team that's not winning, and I've noticed in a lot of high schools, there's a lot of discord around, and it's kind of like a toxic environment. It's kind of like people working against each other. You think that your fellow coaches in the athletic department are with you. But no, 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 no. They be working behind the scene to work against you. I'm not talking about my school, but I'm just telling you from several schools I've been around and the things I find out. There's a lot of it's dog eat dog in the public schools, man. Just put it that way. Good morning, Towns. How we doing, man? It's about this NIL, man. Should that be considered as financial aid? Most of you said no, and I agree. I don't think it is financial aid. That is completely separate from Title IX, in my opinion. And the Trump administration is saying that it's not legal, that it should be that way. And this is only an issue because the Biden administration put this through right before he got out of office. So you know he's going to try to go against something like that anyway. But I think that the NIL money that these people have with these advertisers, and that's not even affected by that. So I don't think it's really that much big. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But some people will look at that and say, well, what's next? If you telling us that we can't get any of this money that's coming from these revenues, what are you going to take from us next? Well, like I said, you have programs like in high school, they pretty much the money they generate in football pretty much filters through the athletic department and pays for everything else. And in college, it's basically the same thing. These athletic departments have huge budgets, and these sports, I don't think they're affected a whole lot by it. Case in point, you know that Stanford in California, they're in the ACC now. So you got athletes flying across the country constantly from those two schools. And I don't think that's going to last too long, but they're doing that because they're getting that distribution for being a member of the ACC. They're getting X amount of money for that. So basically the schools are pimping out the athletes. And if you're going to do that, then you got to at least make sure they're comfortable. So they're going to fly them out and they're going to put them in hotels. But at rigorous academic institutions like them, I don't see how these kids can fully keep up with what's going on in class when you cross the country playing games all the time. So who is it really benefiting by Stanford and California have to do all this extra traveling? I don't understand that. But, you know, they got to have the money coming from somewhere. And when I say not just the basketball and football teams, we're talking about golf and swimming and tennis and everything else. They don't generate that much money. So you have to know that the money has to be coming from somewhere. So even though that Title IX is not directly tied to NIL and this revenue sharing thing that's coming, you know that some of that money has to go to pay for these kind of trips, because otherwise there's no way that they can afford such a thing. So it's all common sense, man. But women sports, they've come a long way, and I don't see it going backwards. I think this just hurt their pockets a little bit, but not a whole lot, because the athletic program has pretty much been buoyed, if you will, by the football programs. And it's going to continue to be that way. It's just that the players are not getting paid. So that's just my point of view on that. But like I say, some people are offended by the ruling. And I just don't think that is directly related to that. All right. Okay. So yes, the All-Star game, that's going to kick off on Sunday. I don't know if you guys watched that or not, but I've already been suffering from postpartum football depression. I got no more football to watch, so I gotta try to um, build myself back up by trying to watch a little basketball. At least at this time of the year, conference basketball tournaments are heating up, and that's something you can follow. Then the tournaments of coming directly after that. Before you know it, it'll be April, and we can get the little spring UFL football and the USFL, and it won't be long before August comes back around. So you just gotta take it slow, take some deep breaths, and hopefully we see some good games in the meantime. But as I tell you guys all the time, basketball is just something to do until football comes back around. I know you basketball people don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Um, it used to be that baseball used to be top dog, but football steadily grew in popularity that it overtook the baseball's number one spot, and it didn't hurt and it didn't help them when they started doing all that striking. But they're starting to come back now, and football, I think they were overexcited to be the top sport. But if they keep making changes to contact and everything else, the popularity is going to wane. And I think what they're doing with the NFL with this flag football Pro Bowl, that's not helping them a whole lot. And they're going to lose their popularity and they're going to be overtaken by baseball again someday. But I don't see it happening anytime soon. And as long as you have people like Mahomes out there that get those questionable calls, even though he didn't get any questionable calls in the Super Bowl, he actually got calls that worked against him for a change. And as long as you have fairness like that, then football is going to hold that top spot for a long time coming. But if they keep changing the rules to legislate contact out of the game, football is going to lose that top spot, man. All right. The Eagles' defense was picture perfect, is what Young Goat said. The Super Bowl was a beating, yes. Juju Watkins is good. And NBA is kind of hard to watch because it's just they're not really playing in the defense. They're playing at a higher pace. If you can keep up with it and you can follow the action, yeah, I guess it's not bad. But, when you get to the playoffs, it ain't going to be all those 100-point plus games. There's going to be some defense being played, man. Every team plays the same way. You're right. Wrestle sauce players have no grit and fight. You know what? I don't want to say it, but I think the NBA, they always had an issue with traveling. You go back to Patrick from Georgetown, the Knicks. I can't think of his name right now. Patrick Ewing. You take 3-4 steps common. But I'm seeing now players are catching the ball, run 2 or 3 steps, put the ball on the floor, run 2-3 more steps, and they don't call nothing, man. So what I have a problem with is if you let rampant traveling take place, when do you decide when to call it traveling? Because I've seen guy catch the ball, make a quick pivot, and they call it traveling. But you don't call it when the guy takes 2 or 3 steps. And I think all that started when they came up with that Euro step crap. That's sanctioned traveling as far as I'm concerned. And once they put that in there, that opened the floodgate for all kind of crap, man. I think the worst traveling I ever seen in the first half of when the Bucks won the championship a couple years ago, they were showing the highlights at halftime. They had a 3-on-1 fast break, and they threw it out to the right wing right about half court. The man never put the ball on the floor. He literally ran from almost half court, took about 4 or 5 steps, never put the ball on the floor, and dunked the ball. The referee standing right there. I grabbed my TV dial and I turned it off, and I didn't watch it again for another couple weeks. And when this guy says it's unwatchable, it's definitely unwatchable when you have a blatant violation of the rules like that. I mean, what is the point of having a sport that has no rules? I mean, even a most violent football player don't want to see that. But no, that wasn't Giannis. It was somebody else. I'm not sure who it was, but that's been a while now. But these guys, man, I can't watch that, man. I have to turn the TV off. That's why I don't watch much of it. So I'm trying to watch it now because I got my football hangover going on. Like I said, I watch over 1,000 live football games a year. How do you do that? It's not hard now when you got all these cable channels. And 15 years ago, I was doing it with 3 TVs, but I don't need 3 TVs now. I got a smartphone. I got 2 TVs in the house, and I got all kind of stuff that I can watch games on. So I'm watching 3 or 4 or 5 at the same time. And how you follow that is when one team is not doing well, you don't put them on the main screen. So if you're going to be on the main TV screen and you're not playing well, or you get fired, you put the next game up, and you just go constantly back and forth. And I tell you something else that works with that. If you have all 4 or 5 TVs on, all the different manufacturers, the sounds is different. So they contrast with each other. So even though I'm looking at this game on the main screen, I can hear everything that's going on everywhere else because the sound levels are different, man. And when you get to the point, then you know you're a junkie when you can pick up on those kind of things, man. Um, yeah, you can't call travel on every possession. And I only watch college basketball. Since then, football's gone. And I'm a West Virginia basketball fan, and more than half our games are ESPN Plus. Yeah, I hadn't seen West Virginia play, but I tell you what, the most fun team I ever saw was West Virginia when they had all 5 players on the floor hitting those threes. That was about well, maybe 6, 7 years ago when they lost to Louisville and Taekwon Dean in the regional final. Everybody on the floor can shoot 3-pointers, man. I thought that's the first team I ever paid attention that can do that. And those big fellas, man, they out there on the 3-point line. And the downside of that is somebody's going to say, why is the big fella out there shooting threes instead of down on the block and getting rebounds and putting it back in? And that's a question that could be asked, but that's just the way they're playing now. And as long as you have everybody thinking they can shoot threes, that's just the way they're going to play for a while. But it's going to take some team, like you got this guy, Doncic, keep pounding it down to him. He's going to lay it up and then post you up. And then if he can still shoot threes like he can, major problem, man. So if you find somebody that can play like that, then that's going to make it all the better for your particular team. All right. Well, that's my signal. I got to get out of here, man. Yeah, Kansas is not that strong this year. I don't think UConn, they're going to fall off again. So it's going to be a more wide open race this year. But listen, I got to get out of here, man. That was my signal. I got to go to work. I appreciate you guys chiming in with me. Like and subscribe. If not, go ahead and share me up, man. Let everybody know what's going on with this morning sports bike, man. But let me get this Westview Elias. Because one of our best players got hurt this year, so we were winning in the game was because of the kids. The kids shoot crazy. Threes called Javon Small. Okay, I can agree with that, man. All right, M.A. Towns, West Virginia Elias, you guys have a great day, man. I got to get out of here. Got to go to work, man. Y'all take it easy. I'm out. Peace. I got to start coming on earlier, man. I don't have enough time to get in